All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is David Pankratz. I'm the MLA for Waverley. Really happy to be with all you here today at IBEW. You know, these guys just went through the ringer with a test this morning and then straight to a presser. So thank you so much for joining us here as well. And before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the land that we're gathered on and the generations of Indigenous peoples who have lived on and cared for this land. And that includes the Anishinaabe, the Inanewak, the Dene, Dakota, Inuits, Anishinaabe people, as well as the Red River Métis Nation, whose histories and presence have shaped what is now Manitoba. And it's a place that we all call home, fortunately. And we share this acknowledgement as a reminder of our shared treaty responsibilities and the relationships that connect us to this land and to one another. So thank you again for everyone for joining us here today alongside our speakers. We also have Minister Mintu Sandhu, Public Service Delivery. Very happy to have him here as well. And we have a number of speakers that I'll be announcing over the next little while. But to get things started for our announcement today, which really reinforces our commitment to ensuring young Manitobans have safe spaces to learn and grow, I'd like to introduce Dave McPhail from IBEW.
Thank you very much, David. Awesome. Appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. As Business Manager of IBEW 2085, I would like to welcome you all to our Code of Excellence Training Center. We are a large group of electrical workers that welcome this Manitoba Jobs Agreement to be implemented in our province, which will maximize local employment, build a stronger, skilled trades workforce, ensure public spending creates good family-supporting jobs within Manitoba, and promote collaboration among government, industry, and Indigenous groups. With that said, I would like to welcome our great Premier, Wab Kinew.
Morning, everybody, and hopefully the test went pretty well. Appreciate everyone taking time to be with us today on what feels like a very warm day compared to what we've had recently. Today is all about the cost of living. To me, grocery prices, paying rent, paying the bills, paying a mortgage, this is one of the top priorities on everyone's minds these days. And what's the best solution for us to be able to help you with the cost of living? It's to make sure that you're earning a good wage at a good job. That's the best thing we can do, and that's why we brought in the Manitoba Jobs Agreement. So when we talk about the government taking action to help you with the cost of living, there are things that we can do at the grocery store, on your hydro bill, at the gas pump. But we also need to look at what's happening on your paycheck. And so we've been doing a lot of important things in government, and bringing forward the Manitoba Jobs Agreements is already starting to show that there's going to be more work, that there's going to be higher wages, that there's going to be more benefits, and that helps everybody with the cost of living. So specifically, we're providing an update on 5 of the first projects that have come under the Manitoba Jobs Agreement umbrella. So 4 of these are schools. We got 3 schools in Winnipeg and 1 school in Brandon. They are all scheduled to open in the fall of 2027. The ones in Winnipeg, you're seeing testing going on this week, weather dependent. Of course, it's depending on the weather, about driving the piles. And of these school projects, underneath the bigger umbrella agreements, we've awarded 6 subcontracts. And just to maybe do a little bit of myth busting here too, 3 of those contracts have gone to union shops, and 3 of those contracts have gone to non-union shops at the subcontractor level. So again, there's a lot of people who want to say this and that about Manitoba Jobs Agreements, but the bottom line is this. This is about helping you with the cost of living. This is about looking to the next generation of Manitoba workers and making sure that they're going to be able to buy a home like our generation was, that they're going to be able to put food on the table like our generation has been, and for everybody in the workforce as well too. If you went out and got your red seal, let's make sure that there's work for you here in Manitoba. If you're somebody who wants to see your tax dollars investing in our communities, the Manitoba Jobs Agreements that we're putting in place is the best way that we can. In the past, you know, the blue team, they had Alberta license plates everywhere on their job sites. Our money was leaving the province. Here, with Team Orange, Blaze Orange, High Vis Orange, I'll say, you have the money staying here in the province. And when we got people earning money in the province. They're spending that at the other businesses. They're going to the restaurants. They're going to the local stores. They're spending money even on staycations and stuff like that. So it just helps to drive a positive cycle in the community. So very happy to be here with hardworking union folks here in Manitoba. And let's work together to build up this province that we love so much. Thank you. Miigwech merci.
Good stuff. Thanks so much, Premier Kinew. Next up on the speaker list here, we've got the Honourable Mintu Sandhu, Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Well, thank you, David. That suit looks beautiful, and we made yours as well, right? So, thanks, everyone. It is a great to be here as we mark an important milestone for families, workers, and communities across Manitoba. Today, we are announcing the start of site work on our 4 new schools, project that will help meet the needs of our growing communities and ensure every child has a place to learn that meets their needs. These are the first provincial capital project being built under our new Manitoba Jobs Agreement. This is the first major step forward in a new public infrastructure in our province. Manitoba Jobs Agreement put Manitobans first. They ensure that when we invest public dollars, we are also investing in local workers and in the future of our skilled trade workforce. Under MJA, workers on major government projects receive standardized wages, benefits, and access to training. That means fair pay, safe work site, and more opportunity for apprentices to get their hours they need. These agreements also help keep projects on schedule by preventing labor disruptions. MJAs create real pathway into the trades for Indigenous workers, women, and young people starting their careers. While linking school construction with workforce development, we are ensuring that the next generation of skilled tradespeople is trained right here at our home. We are building schools for our kids, while we are also building the workforce that will support Manitoba's growth for decades to come. These schools will provide much-needed classroom space, support growing neighborhoods, and strengthening community across the province. By choosing these 4 schools as the first MJA projects, we are putting kids first, supporting good local jobs, and showing how public investment can deliver lasting benefit for Manitobans. This is what it looks like when we build for the future together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Sandhu. And next up, I'm going to ask Tanya Palson, the Executive Director of Manitoba Building Trades, to come up and say a few words.
All right, good morning. I think it's still morning. So today's announcement that construction is beginning on 4 new schools under the Manitoba Jobs Agreement matters because it reflects, for the first time, a real shift in how Manitoba thinks about workers when projects are delivered. For too long, workers were treated as an afterthought in procurement. Projects were announced, contracts awarded, and only then did anyone ask whether there was enough trained Manitobans or Manitobans generally to do the job, and too often the answer came too late. So Manitoba Jobs Agreements change that, and so does the role that Manitoba Building Trades plays in making sure that workers are finally a part of the conversation. So at MBT, Manitoba Building Trades, our job is simple but essential. We make workers visible. We bring the people who actually, with their own hands, build the schools, hospitals, and infrastructure into decisions about how those projects are planned and delivered. For years under the previous government, Manitoba had skilled tradespeople sitting on out-of-work lists, while public projects, the few that there were, failed to deliver stable local employment. Apprentices struggled to get hours. Journey persons watched work move past them. And this wasn't because workers didn't want to work, it was because the system didn't plan for them. And a major construction purchaser, the Manitoba government, didn't really have information about who was actually on the job site building their projects. And so Manitoba Jobs Agreements are about correcting that failure. They're built on a straightforward principle. If public money is spent, Manitoba workers should be first in line for the jobs and training pathways that come with it. That's not radical, it's responsible. And the province is now entering a period of sustained construction, which we love, but you can either ignore the workforce until there's a crisis, or you can plan for it properly. And MJAs are about planning, and Manitoba Building Trades is a part of how that planning actually happens on the ground. It's a procurement and workforce framework for major public projects. We're setting clear, consistent expectations around local hiring, wages and benefit parity, apprenticeship opportunities, diversity opportunities, workforce coordination, site conditions, you name it. And we've included mechanisms for union enforcement of exactly what's in that paper. So it's not just written, it's not just objectives, it's followed through and it's written into the contract. And this applies to both union and non-union contractors. And most importantly, they work. As we've heard on these 4 school projects, there was multiple bids and contracts were awarded to both union and open shop contractors. This is proof that Manitoba Jobs Agreements don't shut anyone out. They create fair, transparent rules, and then it lets competition do its job. But they don't work on paper alone. There's real administration behind them, and that's where Manitoba Building Trades and its partners come in. Our job is to ensure that what's written in the agreement and those expectations and mandates that we've set out actually happen on site. That means tracking workforce data, ensuring workers are getting the highest paid and benefit parity standards that exist in the province, ensuring apprentices get their hours and the opportunities are created for them, addressing site issues early so projects keep moving and there's project stability with that. Without that function, workforce commitments are just promises. And I also want to speak honestly to some of the contractor concerns that we've been hearing, and I'm sure many of the media will hear through follow-up calls after today. Change is difficult, and for many contractors, this model requires a shift. More planning, more coordination, and a stronger focus on local workforce development. Those concerns are real, and they can be acknowledged, but uncertainty during transition shouldn't be mistaken for a flawed policy. In practice, the MJAs reduce risk by creating a reliable labor supply, clearer expectations, and fewer disruptions. That stability benefits contractors as much as it benefits workers. There's also maybe some commentary suggesting Manitoba is doing something unusual or extreme. That's simply not true. These labor agreement models are used across Canada, the US, Europe, Australia. They're a really common procurement tool. And I know one of my counterpart on the employer side is probably going to speak to that a little bit better than I could, but just wanted to flag that this is a system that works. It's a system that's so common and used everywhere else, and we're really just catching Manitoba up with that worker focus in doing this. Finally, speaking directly to workers, many of which are behind me today, the Manitoba Jobs Agreement means more consistent work. They mean apprentices are getting hours, not excuses. And they mean that workers are no longer invisible in the system of major project delivery. They're turning public investment into real jobs, real training, and real futures for the people who build this province. And at Manitoba Building Trades, we're very proud to be part of the organization that brings workers to the table, not after the fact, but at the start. And Manitoba Jobs Agreements are about building projects and careers at the same time, and we really strongly believe that's something that all of Manitoba can and should be proud of. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tanya, for the remarks and also for the incredible work that you're doing to moving this forward. Next up, I would like to invite up to the podium Peter Wightman to have a few remarks. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I know there's other people that are going to be speaking here today, so I'll try to keep my comments short. And I thought Tanya did a very good job in sort of hitting some of the high points about the MGA. What I will say, as a representative of construction contractors in Manitoba, and primarily the contractors that employ unionized tradespeople, historically, and contractors that have built effectively the infrastructure of Manitoba over many, many, many decades. We've been utilizing MGA or Manitoba Job Type Agreements over many decades in Manitoba. It's not a new tool. It's an old tool. It's a tool that government now is putting in their toolbox to build projects that they are going to be the owner of. In other words, they're paying the bills. So as the owner, it's a smart thing for an owner when they're building complicated type projects, hospitals, schools, etc., especially when you're paying the bill, to make sure you have an oversight document that will cover off a variety of issues that you as the owner may have and engage the industry in a very positive fashion. One of the positive things for our industry, the MGA, like virtually every other MGA that I've personally been involved with over many decades, ensures that you have certain hiring requirements. You're ensuring that you're dealing with people in the community at large that's going to be the beneficiaries of the construction project, whether it's a school, hospital, etc. Visible minorities, ensuring you have minimum apprenticeship levels that are being addressed by contractors. That's a very fundamental concern for our industry. We have a hard time recruiting and retaining new workers, new skilled tradespeople into our industry. We need them. Manitoba needs them. These are the next generation of skilled folks that are going to build our future hospitals, our future power generation facilities, water treatment facilities, schools, universities, etc. If government can't step forward and say to the industry, we're going to help you generate that next workforce, and the industry says, no, thank you, I know for a fact the industry's not saying no, thank you. They're saying thank you very much. It's a very wise thing for government to do, and we applaud that. Now, Tanya mentioned how MGAs are being used in other parts of the country, and that's accurate. As I said, MGAs may be new to some people in this province, but for those of us that have been in the industry a long time, it's Tuesday. We use them all the time. In some parts of this country, they're used on every single essential type project for decades and decades. It's almost a weekly thing in other parts of this country. So it's not something to be feared. It's not something to be denigrated. It's something to be just accepted. And there's never been a MGA type project site in Manitoba's history where only unionized contractors and employees are allowed to work on the site. They've always been open sites. This is no different. My association, we did a top-to-toe review of the document. We've signed off on it. We support it. And quite frankly, if there's any false metrics or false news that's being thrown about, you need to drill down on that as the media. This is a very positive development for our province. And as the Premier said, and I think if there's anything you walk away from today, the message the Premier just gave you about keeping the money in this province is the most essential point that the MGA will achieve. We use Manitobans to build Manitoban projects. We pay the Manitobans industry wages that have been created in the free marketplace. This is what I do. I can tell you as a fact that all of the wages and benefits and terms and conditions of employment are the exact same stipulations that we have in the contracts that I create with my partners in the various building trade local unions. So it's developed within the industry by business people to compete in the market space. The idea of keeping Manitobans working, keep the money in Manitoba so that it can then recycle through the economy of Manitoba in all the various other businesses, hockey, restaurants, buying tires, buying cars. That's how you keep your economy running effectively. It's a smart thing. It's smart economic policy. And we're absolutely thrilled to see that the Manitoba government is employing this strategy going forward. And we wish to thank you, Mr. Premier, for doing that.
Great
thank
words.
you, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Peter, for those words. Next up, and to close things up today, we have Victor DaSilva, who is the business manager and secretary treasurer at LiUNA Local 1258.
Well, wow, what can I say after everything's been covered quite extensively? But what I would love to reiterate is that this is for Manitobans. The Manitoba Jobs Agreement is for every single Manitoban, not just for construction workers. As we've mentioned, and as the Premier has mentioned, that when Manitobans are working and when Manitoba tax dollars are being spent on Manitobans, making sure that they get a fair wage and that they have benefits, that they have that income coming in. Now they're at the local corner store. As Peter said, they're buying a set of tires for their vehicles. So everyone benefits in Manitoba from this agreement. And the beauty of it is that we then take the young people that we have behind us, train them so that they have a career in the trades, move forward, and they can supply a proper life for their families. The MJA is not anything more than just giving back to Manitoba, making sure that tax dollars are staying in Manitoba. I can't say anything else, but thank you for the opportunity to speak.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you to everybody who joined. Hopefully the stress sweats have worn off from the test earlier today. And now I think we'll move to questions from the media. Yeah.
So when I was speaking, I said 5 projects and I talked about 4 schools. I realized as soon as I stepped back, I should have mentioned the 5th one, which is the Victoria General Hospital new emergency room. So that project is moving ahead. Site prep is going on this month. Active construction will begin in March. That contract has been awarded as well, and there's a Manitoba Jobs Agreement in place for that one as well too. So anyone who is looking for that 5th project, you just got it.
Just on Victoria, since we're just talking about
Okay,
it,
yeah.
Who got that project?
We can follow up with all the details offline. Yeah.
Maybe to the school piece, I guess. How many companies bid for these projects?
I think there was 11 bids for over 5 contracts, and yeah, like you heard, there's been a mix of people stepping up. So we haven't seen any chilling effect. This is an active bid process. People are stepping up, and it's because we're investing. We're building Manitoba right now, and people see that as we build the province, there's more economic opportunity that comes. And for me, the most important thing is cost of living. Cost of living's number one for so many people out there. How do we help with the cost of living? Number one thing is making sure you have a job and that the job pays well. In the past, South End Water Pollution Control Center was being built. 100 Manitoba electricians, 100 Red Seals in our province were out of work during the construction phase of that project. That's not how you build an economy. So when we do these next projects, now that we have this MJA framework in place, the Manitoba Jobs Agreement framework, schools, emergency rooms, future healthcare projects, all sorts of infrastructure. When hydro goes to market in the future, we'll be putting Manitobans to work because this is your resources. It makes sense at the best of times, but everything that's going on with Trump as well too. Help with the cost of living, help Trump-proof our economy. Let's put people to work here in Manitoba. And that's why we have Manitoba Jobs Agreements.
I know you say non-union shops aren't being set out as evidenced by 3 of the 6 going to them.
Yeah.
I mean, this Manitoba Jobs Agreement, though, does prioritize union shops. What does it say that union shops did not get all of these projects? Are there not enough of them in the province? Were they outbid?
It just shows that this process is open to everybody who wants to treat your workers right and pay a decent wage. That's the stipulation that we're putting here. And at a time when cost of living and grocery prices and mortgage and rent is number one, I think that's a legitimate, and actually it's exactly what a government should be doing, is making sure that people in our province, particularly people who put the time in to get a ticket and do the apprenticeship, that they are going to earn a wage that matches up their level of skill and their level of expertise. So good for the economy, good for the worker, good for the cost of living.
Anything more you can share just about these 6 subcontractors? Like, are they all working on all 4 schools?
No, like it's sort of Like one would be, so each school project built, divided up into a number of stages, and then each one of those individual stages would often have like a specific subcontractor attached to it. Right? So I mentioned the pile testing is happening this week. That's one phase, and you have subsequent phases coming after that. And so those 6 contracts that we're sharing the news, it's kind of our way of saying, okay, game on. These projects are well into the construction phase now. And by the way, providing an update, because there has been a lot of interest in the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, we can say with proof now that this thing is open to everybody, as long as you're willing to pay your workers well, which makes sense during the cost of living issues that we're facing right now. And let's prioritize Manitobans too while we're at it. So it seems like the right thing to do. The rest of the world is saying, they're going to prioritize their economy. And so what are we going to do in Manitoba? We're just going to let everyone else to come and eat? No. Let's stick up for the workers here. Let's stick up for our economy. Let's make sure that people can put food on the table, pay the mortgage bill, pay the hydro bill, pay the gas. And this is, I guess maybe just the last thing I'll say too. The first person to really do this in Manitoba was Duff Roblin. He was a PC premier. And famously, they built the floodway with, I guess, an early version of a Manitoba Jobs Agreement, on time, under budget, and it just helped to build the economy as well as save the city from the big flood that we've seen over the years. A few, I was thinking of the 1950, but obviously 97, many others. So this should be, when you lay it out, putting conditions in the market to ensure that the worker has some leverage to be able to put food on the table. That's what government exists to do. We're there for businesses too. We help to ensure that contract law can be enforced. We help to ensure that the infrastructure is there so that goods can move around the economy. And we're just taking a step to make sure that you can keep your head above water right now in Manitoba. And it shouldn't be partisan. It shouldn't be political. As I said, the PCs used to support this. Their federal leader does as well too. But we're just on the side of the worker. We're on the side of the average person trying to pay the bills.
It's smart to support this, Mr. Premier. It's smart for business to support this. This is a good thing for Manitoba. Not a bad thing. It's a good thing for construction workers. It's good for the citizens of Manitoba.
Hear, hear. Right on. Thanks for saying that. Et juste pour dire en français, nous sommes ici pour annoncer que les 4 premières écoles dans notre plan sont dans le processus d'être bâties. Et puis, des premières 6 sous-contrats, nous avons vu 3 qui ont embauché les syndicats et puis 3 qui sont, ce qu'on dit, ouverts. Alors, ça nous montre que ce processus de Manitoba Jobs Agreement est ouvert à tout le monde dans la province. Et c'est juste une politique qui nous donne la chance d'avancer le travailleur ou travailleuse dans un moment où la vie coûte très cher. Ça nous aide beaucoup.
One of these 6 companies, though, is not from Manitoba. They are from Canada, though.
Yeah.
Are you disappointed that not all 6 could be Manitoba?
I love Manitoba businesses. I love the Winnipeg Jets. This is hometown pride. But we want to be able to do business with other provinces. We love Manitoba businesses to go and outcompete an Ontario firm in Ontario or an Alberta firm in Alberta. So we got to have that same openness, the reciprocity, the ability to welcome them. And the thing about this Manitoba Jobs Agreement is previously, if you saw an Alberta firm coming into Manitoba and bringing Alberta license plates, you could be sure that the money was leaving the province. But now that we have this framework in place, if it's a Manitoba firm, if it's an out-of-province firm, they're still hiring local. And the money is still going to stay in the province. So it's just given us that ability, especially at a time of Donald Trump and tariffs and everything that's going on out there, to stand up for our local economy and just keep more of that economic activity here in Manitoba, which when you're thinking about it being your tax dollars, I think it just makes sense to do what we can to make sure the most amount, the maximum amount can stay here in Manitoba.
At a recent press conference, you spoke about speaking with officials in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Things that clearly continue to escalate. Just in terms of a follow-up, have you had any more communications with them being such a close tie with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like a lot of people. I saw what happened in Minneapolis on Saturday, and I was on my way up to Swan River at the time, so reached out to Governor Walz right away, and just shared a message of support and message that outraged as well too, and I think he's very appreciative of that, and thanked me and us as Manitobans in the same way. If you got friends in the States right now, friends in Minnesota in particular, family, just reach out and offer some encouragement. You could be over here, you could even be a Trump supporter. I don't think anybody wants to see people being shot in the middle of the street. I don't think anybody wants to see people shot in the back. So we got to show support. America's going through it right now. They're still going to be our neighbor 4 years from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now. So let's just show support, and hopefully they can get through this period sooner rather than later.
Just to follow up on that, we're starting to see some statistics come out showing that it's not a big increase, but we're seeing a small increase in people from the U.S. wanting to come to Canada. If that was the case and U.S. citizens wanted to get out of that situation, would we open them with open arms here in Manitoba? Yeah,
definitely. Like, we're never going to change who we are as Canada. We're still going to be that place that allows you to be who you are and to pursue your life to its full potential. We're really happy to report that as of the weekend, there were 13 American doctors who came up. So, hey, we're trying to work on healthcare. Another 13 doctors, you add that to the 285 others that we've recruited over the past 2 years. It's making a difference, right? Not only are we almost at 300 physicians, it also means that we are creating a healthcare environment where people are willing to put their hands up and say, yeah, that sounds good. Part of the reason is because it's a universal public healthcare system, so that's really important for us. But I think part of it is also just a response to what folks, well, you heard the physician last week talk about. It was in part a response to what they're seeing in the States right now.
Another separate topic, Premier, just from the federal announcement this morning, the GST boost, how effective do you think that's going to be over the next few years in terms of helping Manitobans?
Anything we can do to help the average person out there put food on the table and pay your bills right now is a good step. So we've frozen the price of milk. We've brought in tax relief on the gas tax and frozen hydro rates and a bunch of other steps to help you with the cost of living. So for the federal government to make moves here too, I think I'm very interested to see the details, and hopefully maybe not any one individual thing is going to be that silver bullet. But if they do a little bit of stuff here, we do a little bit of stuff there, we put it all together, hopefully it means relief for you for this cost of living that we're seeing right now.
There's a PCMLA who was saying that they couldn't speak at a cultural center grand opening in Swan River. I guess, what do you say about that criticism? They're saying that it was a childish and unbecoming thing for NDP to do.
Show me the government announcements that we were invited to in opposition.
This was an event organized by the school division, so your government was not organizing the event.
It's a government project. $16.6 million in your money invested into a new build at the Swan Valley Regional Secondary School.
How much of that came from your NDP government?
It's your money. It's not the PC's and it's not mine. It's yours.
I'm asking, I guess, how much your government, since 2023, since you've been in power, how much of that money came from?
Project was built over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I guess I'm asking you and the NDP government, how much money did the NDP put forward towards that project?
It's your money. It was built during our time in office. This MLA is not a good guy. And if he wants to debate that, I would just say to everybody out there, do not Google this guy's name. You're not going to like what you see.
To go back to the original question, though, I guess.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I'm aware of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
To go back to
Right? You guys see that? Ouch. No, but Ian, come on. Look at this. Cost of living. Does anyone care about some backbench PC MLA right now? No. His feelings are hurt. Who cares? We were never invited to any announcements when we were in the opposition benches. So let's focus on what really matters here. Let's put young people in Manitoba to work. Let's put a paycheck in their bank account, and let's put opportunity in their hands. That's what we're focused on. The PCs can keep crying from the sidelines.
I guess the question remains, though, why did your government tolerate both that?
You got your clip.
Any other questions? Yeah, what's happening with the Brady landfill search?
We're well into stage 4 of the Brady landfill search. We have got material out of the landfill that shows us we're in the right date range and also shows us that we are in the right route for where these trucks were picking up landfill material from. So that's a reassuring sign, because anytime we go into a search like this, there's always a lot of predictions and guesswork. So now to see some of the data coming in to match where we want to be lets us know that, okay, it's just a matter of carrying out the search. So this is a really important project that the family is being kept well in the loop over, and we are just going to do our best to be able to bring their loved one home.
Do you have like a timeline? How long is this going to continue for, do you think, as of right now?
Well, this would be the same timeline since we've launched it, which is we're thinking about this active search phase as up to a year, but we're looking at within a first 6-month chunk, if you will, and we're still within that first 6 months right now. So for us to have the landfill material being looked at, for us to have the dates and the geographic location start to match up is a positive development, but of course, who's to say whether that means we'll be successful or not, and if we are, how long it will take? We can't say at this point. But the main thing is there's a family in need. We are trying to show the respect for their loved one who they've lost, and hopefully we'll be able to bring closure. Let's not forget that Rick Wojcik and every single PC person supported advertisements that attacked these families and attacked the victims of a serial killer. That is gross. And the thing about them, not just for the family of Ashley Shingus or the families that we have returned home their loved ones to, the Harris and the Myron families, in the future, if some terrible thing like this ever happens again, what are they to say? Right? At least us, we have a clean conscience. We can say, we can't guarantee it's going to happen, but we're going to try. Because in Manitoba, we're a province, if somebody goes missing, we're going to go looking. We are very consistent about that across the board. For them, on the other hand, I guess it's like, oh, you know, depends on the day. Maybe I wasn't invited to speak, so I'm going to have to talk about that first. This is not a serious political party. And you can see that from their board member, Patrick Allard, still running his mouth on social media, too. So for us, cost of living, health care, respect people's lives, pretty straightforward. For the PCs, weather vane, which way is the wind blowing? Let's get some likes on social media, crack some disrespectful jokes, run some ads that attack the dignity of women in our province. It's gross, but not surprising.
We're now on phase 4. Can you just remind us?
Stage 4, yeah.
Stage 4.
Yeah, stage or phase, like, yeah. So we had the first 3 were largely sort of like site prep and preliminary phases to the landfill search. That included doing like test digs, primarily to evaluate the consistency of the material. You also had like putting up the steel frame search facility and the ATCO trailers, which are on site. And then a lot of that engineering work. We got owners, engineers, and of course, you know, the project managers, internal to government as well as outside contractors, just helping us to interpret the schematics of the landfill site. City of Winnipeg has been a huge help in that regard. Winnipeg Police Service has been a big help in terms of providing information. about what was known, and then they just put that all together to try and predict or triangulate where we're going to have the highest percentage of finding, and then that's when we go in with the stage 4, which began in December rather. And so we're, I guess, a little over a month into stage 4 right now. Yeah. But it's all consistent with what we said before, and it's pretty consistent with what we saw in the Prairie Green landfill.
Any other questions? Yeah, on a different topic, have you heard from Premier Ford about Crown Royal?
Well, I'm going to see him in a couple days. We always keep in touch, Premier Ford and I, and I think we're going to have a very busy week with a lot of things to discuss. For me, Crown Royal is a great Manitoba product that hard-working people, blue-collar workers in Gimli, Manitoba produce. There's a bunch of farmers in Manitoba who, you know, help supply Crown Royal as well. So it only makes sense for us to support that going forward. So we're going to keep encouraging my buddy Doug Ford to do the right thing here.
President Trump threatened 100% tariffs over the weekend, and the U.S. trade policy just now. So I guess are there any updates in terms of what the Manitoba government is planning? Should there be more tariffs coming our way?
Mr. Trump, stop killing American citizens. The idea of trying to protect Americans from the bad parts of immigration by killing American citizens doesn't make any sense. We're going to get a trade deal. We're going to do business with the U.S. But we also have to be able to speak with integrity and look at ourselves in the mirror at the end of this. And at a time when you're seeing terrible things like are happening right next to us, we have to speak out. And, you know, mature, reasonable Americans will understand that. Now is the time for moral clarity. I hope American conservatives recognize that as well, too.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Good job.